Okay, this article is at HuffingtonPost.com. The title is Heroin. Addiction knows no race, class, or sex. Or does it? Huffington Post, or I guess they call it HuffPost, has had a lot of articles lately on the what they call the opioid crisis or epidemic. And some of the articles are good. There's actually a really good one recently. I don't know about this one. I'm just looking at this for the first time. There's another one I'm going to do a video on because I think it's really good and it needs to be read by a lot of people, I think. As I walk down the street, heads nod, homelessness is rampant. This is all heroin addiction, my mom says. We were just leaving an event supporting families of those in prison, headed towards the Harlem 125th Street Metro North, the train that passes over areas many don't go on the road from Midtown Manhattan to Westchester. As I avoided watching one man pee in the corner, "How can you tell?" I asked. "The nod," my mom replied. "Heroin gives people the nod, like they are drowsy, sleepy, out of it." Anyway, so goes on to talk about heroin, Harlem, methadone clinics. Actually, here in South Florida, when you go to NA meetings, you will find a lot of people that originated from that area, I guess Harlem area in Manhattan, or Harlem is separate from Manhattan. I really don't know New York that well, but a lot of people that seem to know each other from the same street corners recovering from heroin addiction. Surprisingly, there's you'll find a lot of people that have many years clean and decades clean from heroin, even after going on methadone, which is very hard to quit. Probably even harder than heroin to quit, really. Okay, here the stages of change. There are 6 stages of change for anyone recovering from addiction: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and termination. Okay, and they have a link. That might be even more interesting than finishing this article. Oh, here they say they have a thing about harm reduction here. Let's just run through this quickly. Harm reduction, that's been a phrase being thrown around a lot lately. About, obviously it's self-explanatory, things that will reduce harm. For example, Narcan, making Narcan more available. That's like the rescue drug that will hopefully save people from overdoses. Here they mention withdrawal is not dangerous, or withdrawal won't kill people. It's just extremely uncomfortable. Okay, something about mental health here. I'm just gonna go through this. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I guess that's the end. Last paragraph here. Unconditional love does not mean love without boundaries. Be clear in what you can do and cannot. Maybe one of the hardest things you have to do in your life. Get support. Getting off of drugs is difficult. People talk about tough love, but you have to be careful, because if you're too tough, people who use heroin, it just takes one accident to overdose and kill themselves. So, be careful how tough you are with people. Wait, what's this? Having said that, programs such as needle exchanges and methadone clinics mentioned earlier serve as ways to support those with addictions not ready to truly quit and using safely. Having said that, programs such as needle exchanges and methadone clinics mentioned earlier serve as ways to support those with addiction not ready to truly. Does that sentence even make sense? Having said that, programs such as needle exchanges and methadone clinics mentioned earlier serve as ways to support those with addictions not ready to truly quit and using safely. It seems like a clause that's like too long and should have had a comma in the rest of the sentence there. Oh wait, having said that, okay, so there's a missing comma. Having said that, programs such as needle exchanges and methadone clinics mentioned earlier serve as ways to support those with addictions not ready to truly quit and using safely. Okay, here. Methadone is liquid handcuffs because you have to go every day to pick it up. Suboxone also an option, typically prescribed by a psychiatrist and taken in one's home as an opiate blocker. Well, that just kind of threw Suboxone, off to the side. First of all, it's not an opiate blocker. It's a partial agonist antagonist, so it's a little bit more complicated than a simple blocker. Not to downplay the blocking medications, which are also useful. And it's not only prescribed by a psychiatrist, and it can be taken in one's home, or there are clinics where they dispense it and observe the patients taking it on a daily basis. So it's a little more complicated than just that one little sentence they throw out for Suboxone, which also includes Zubsolv, Subutex, various forms of generic buprenorphine, and naloxone. Okay, let's get back to that link. Let's see. Whenever an article, doesn't explain something properly, or it kind of downplays something important, I feel like it takes away from the entire topic. It's hard to even take the article seriously when they misrepresent, misexplain, or downplay something like that. I think Suboxone should have been given a little bit more attention there. Anyway, I didn't really read the whole article all that carefully, but that's what I got from that little part there. Okay, so this is mentalhelp.net. It's written by a group of PhDs, I assume psychologists. It's fairly recent, 2016. Okay, so they talk about those stages: pre-contemplation. You have no plan on changing. Contemplation. A person becomes aware of problems associated with their behavior. Preparation. Action. Seems like this could be useful in, making any kind of life change. Seeing where you are on these 6 stages. Maybe going on a diet, or, changing jobs. But definitely interesting material. I'm going to come back and read this myself later. Definitely an interesting, it might be interesting to explore this website, mentalhelp.net. See over here they've got information about detox medication, 12-step and spiritual groups. AA, NA, CA, MA. There's a lot of these 12-step groups, but besides NA, I believe a lot of them use the big book from AA as their textbook, almost like they're all offshoots of AA. NA is also derived from it. NA is derived from AA, but they have their own unique textbook and literature. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, yeah, they talk here about how the higher power discussed in the 12 steps doesn't have to be God. You can, it's not really a religious program, but they say it's spiritual. They do pray in these meetings, but it's not, it doesn't have to be like a Christian prayer, or generally isn't, at least in a lot of them. Okay, anyway, that's enough for this video. Kind of got off track here looking at this other website, but it looks like this might even be more interesting and useful than the article where I started. So this one was mentalhelp.net. All right, and thank you for watching.